right now because Paris will be worse.
Right.
This
entire conversation we should have had live.
We can have it again.
Yeah. So we'll rinse repeat. Greg, what were you going to say?
I was going to say,
make it funny.
An audience cheers and applauds. A con man who grifts and defrauds. Their savior then flees and leaves them to freeze. A gift from the metaphor gods.
Is that a John Lithgow poem?
I don't know.
You know, he wrote an entire poetry book on Trumpty Dumpty.
I didn't know that.
And it's actually on, I may have put the first episode on Chirp, so look under my chirps, but he got other movie stars to read various poems from the book. So it's all on like YouTube as well. You can listen to them read it.
Very nice.
So this is, that would be an allusion to the fact that a few thousand people were freezing on a tarmac in Nebraska and couldn't get back to their cars after fuckface flew away. In Nebraska, where he's going to campaign
for one electoral vote
in Nebraska. Anyway.
I fucking love that riff, dude. Every time I hear it, I'm just like, it makes me feel good, warm and fuzzy.
Good stuff. It's good stuff.
That's what I meant to call it. It's warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, let me share this out. We would love it if you would share our feed this morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hashtag Coffee. Our guest is the amazing Ash Gallagher, journalist, warrior poet. Yeah.
Something like that. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who, and I know it was a lot of people from this community, but thank you to all the reshares on my post yesterday on Judge Barrett.
Yeah.
I had my moment with it. So we just got to hit the blue wave.
I think it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can see it from my house.
Yeah.
We found out this week that the three of the counties in Florida with the highest Democratic vote return are Collier, Sumter, and three of our reddest counties had the highest percentage of Democratic ballots returned in early voting and vote by mail. So that's good. You know, people in red counties have had enough. So that's good. We're pretty excited about that. I'm disappointed. Like even James Carville got on Florida last night for Dade County having lower than expected Democratic turnout. He publicly shamed them on MSNBC last night, which was cool.
As well as should.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for. Oh, that just changed. That's weird.
The gratitudes.
Yeah. I'm grateful for three things. One, Ash Gallagher's here. She's always classing up the joint, which is good because I didn't get any freaking sleep last night. So like, am I scouring the internet for good and bad data points? Yep, I sure am. Is it helping me sleep at night? No, it fucking isn't.
Yeah, I think I was still sending you stuff in our chat buffer at 2:30 a.m. So
and that's so I slept from about 11 until 2:30 a.m. That's how much sleep I've had. So the Texas race is now it's a bit of a race now. So it's 1.5%.
That's cool.
Yeah. So here's what I'm grateful for. A, that is fine. B, the turnout being as expansive as it appears to be is definitely not registered in the likely voter polling by definition. And 3, Trump won Texas in 2016 by 10 fucking points. The suburbs, they are a swinging. And so I'm grateful for that.
In the words of Jim Carrey, so you're saying there's a chance.
Well, Texas, Iowa, and Georgia were all moved to toss-up status by NBC in the last 24 hours. The idea that, I didn't think about it this way. I knew Joe Biden was in Georgia yesterday, but campaigning in Georgia less than a week out from the election. That's a pretty amazing. That's a bold move right there. Like he's moving directly into their turf and telling them it's not theirs anymore. And if Georgia goes blue, Stacey Abrams is the absolute data point.
Queen.
Yeah, she's the reason that happened. So
Nebraska. You fly into Nebraska to meet a bunch of elderly people in the middle of nowhere, and it's freezing in an open hangar situation. Having busted them in there, and then the buses couldn't get back to them to take them away. You're 6.5 points up in a race that has been extremely steady. Obviously, you can see there hasn't been that many data points in Nevada or Nebraska because nobody fucking cares because it's a red state like that. Do you guys have any ideas as to what to quote Obama? What?
Ash, what do you got? You got any thoughts on that?
I mean, look, when it comes to Nebraska's like right in the middle of the country, and you're right. I mean, you're saying like it's mostly red, and you said there's only one electoral vote. I think
there's more than one vote technically, but the district he went to, it represents about one electoral vote.
Okay, so but the point is for me, I think he's going to places where he knows he has a base that he can get there, and it almost doesn't even matter for him. He just wants cheers, and he just wants people to like scream his name, and he wants people to like laugh at his terrible jokes, and he wants people to chant his dumb slogans. So for him, I don't know it's so much that he's even thinking about the numbers because I don't think he always cares about that. Remember, he lost the popular vote by about 3 million. In 2016, and then got the Electoral College, which he also hated. So in his mind, I don't think he gets any of it. I think it's just, where do I get cheers? And he knows he's got a little roundup in that place.
Right.
I know.
Calling on Corey.
I just found out.
Would you like to give us a more factual answer than my just random opinion?
Yours is good.
It's pretty close.
Yours is, if this didn't immediately come up, you would be right. Because this is a known thing, right? Like he wants to go where everybody knows his name and is gonna repeat it over and over again, really, really loudly while going like this. Maybe I don't know. It's just what he does. However, interestingly enough, neighboring Nebraska, very, very close to where they landed, is Iowa, where this Joni Ernst is currently trying not to lose an election.
People. Yep, you get some Iowa people to come over
in the Senate, and Pence is going to sit in with Lindsey Graham over the next 24 to 36 hours to try and shore up his chances. After Lou Dobbs coming out and basically saying he's the dumbest person on earth, like they've basically been putting him under a rock.
Lindsey Graham damage. He's not going to help him.
They're having to I think the biggest thing is that if it's close, if he wins, if we flip the Senate and Trump manages to steal the election, we will impeach that motherfucker 5 seconds later.
Yeah, that is true. Actually,
but if we have the Senate and the House, we have enough to impeach him.
You got to impeach Pence though too.
Sure, I don't give a fuck. Let's impeach them all. Like you know what I mean? It's a thing. He's protecting his ass.
Okay, there's only one problem with your theory.
Okay,
Joni Ernst was not invited to speak at the rally yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's necessarily relevant because she's also trying to distance herself. Because again, like these meetings are turnout machines, right? So you're getting you're getting the 1% of super crazies in to like organize and yada yada yada. You don't need Joni Ernst there, and Joni Ernst is like quietly stepping the fuck back. So if you can increase your turnout machine, and she can create distance and try and pick up support in the suburbs that Trump is going to lose, that would presume they were thinking though, which sort of destroys my argument.
I don't think anybody's really thinking, but I mean, hey, I'll go with it. You get Iowa people there; it's close enough to it that you might get some people who are going to travel out.
Okay, but
I mean, not anymore because like a lot of them are in the hospital with hypothermia, and they all got left on a tarmac to freeze to death.
How many people are going to have like health complications?
Okay, I've been very patient, but you're both wrong.
Okay, fine.
Oh, go on.
Okay.
Okay, the link that I just shared in the thread there is Trump's weakness with older voters could cost in Florida and the White House. And I messaged this to Corey yesterday. This is a quote from that article.
I'm looking at it. Yeah.
We're in really good shape in Florida, he said, but then added that knowing this with any certainty was difficult because the campaign is not conducting a tracking poll in a number of key states. Florida, and we're not polling. It's weird.
Okay, stop. Okay, I know we're not polling.
That's why they went to Nebraska, because they're fucking inept. They're not
polling in
paying
Florida.
attention to any of those numbers. That's the reason that they went to Nebraska, because they don't fucking know where they're behind or ahead.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing to me is I don't think that he's even paying attention to the numbers. I don't think he cares and even knows. I think he's just trying to like get whatever he thinks he can to get the votes that he thinks he wants. Because he's delusional.
There appears to be no strategy involved here.
Yeah.
Even George W. Bush was smarter about campaigning than this.
I understand. But I think we should take a couple of minutes and breathe and go back to some gratitudes.
I agree. I'm really grateful that the YouGov disapproval rating for the president is 14%.
Gotcha.
That's bad. That's bad.
The disapproval rating?
Sorry, by 14%. It's 56 to 52.
Oh.
Sorry. I read the numbers badly. Yeah, but we should get to let's get to some family gratitudes over here. I saw one from Kathy Brinkman. Sorry, Kathy Brinkman. I'm very tired.
Who voted, by the way? She posted a picture. She got it done.
Yes.
Way to kill your anxiety right in the face.
Right in the nose. One of my best friends has a great opportunity today. 2, that I was able to vote quickly. 3, that it's sunny. Yes. Nice.
I'm definitely grateful for my run this morning. I have not gone for a handful of days, and the temperature here has been off and on. So the sun was out, and I was just determined to go. So I did, and I went out to the cliffs, which are right along the coastline, and you can hang out and do like a meditation on the cliffs, and like sit there, and the sun was perfect. So that's my gratitude today.
That's why you want to check in on chirp.la a lot, because I've seen those pictures already, and I feel kind of lucky because they're badass.
You get to be bi-curious at places I'm at.
I've got a screen share for my gratitude.
Okay.
So Corey, you need to
one second.
I am grateful to the high school kids who have made this happen. This is young early voter turnout among 18 to 29-year-olds. High school kids have been driving this bus, particularly the Parkland high school kids, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas high school kids from Parkland, Florida, down near Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, my hometown.
So, I mean,
wait, I gotta finish this.
Carry on, because this is a big deal.
These are kids who were called crisis actors, who were ridiculed, who were told to shut the fuck up and sit down, who were told that this was valueless and meaningless what they were trying to do, and along with the Parkland parents, let's be honest, Fred Gutenberg among them. But kids are driving this number. High school kids are driving this number, and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for them. So, that's an astonishingly big number, and I'm really grateful for these kids for not sitting down and not shutting up and demanding that we old people take care of them in the most basic of ways by not letting them get shot to fucking death in high schools.
You know what? Hallelujah. I am so glad they are out there voting.
Yeah.
So this is like on a list now. Sorry, Ash, finish your thought. Sorry.
No. I'm just mumbling. Go.
I think there's a list of almost 10 things now that any one of them gives us this race.
Yeah.
That is like 3 of them all on its own. Right? I mean, to have the youth vote be 3 times what it was in 2016 is probably 5 times more than the margin of victory in the swing states.
Right.
Maybe a lot more. Just some recent polling that came in. I've been super worried about Wisconsin because Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the counting is going to be annoying. Like we might not know those for a while. However, Wisconsin, the latest poll out of Wisconsin is Biden plus 17.
It's batshit crazy. That can't be right.
That's great.
That can't be right.
I don't know. Let's go.
There's a Marquette University poll coming out later today, and they are actually I mean, but the polling company, I can't remember who it was. Is it A+ rated on 538? Because I checked.
Yeah.
What kind of
I'm telling
weird
you.
ass poll is this? But
Look
the
at this.
Marquette poll is probably going to have a better handle on.
Sure, but I
Yeah.
mean the average right now is like 12.
Right.
So is that outside the average? Yeah. Is it a later breaking poll? Yes. ABC News, Washington Post are among the top tier of the top tier pollsters who can still get a result that is an outlier statistically. That's not impossible, right? But yay, Wisconsin. I mean, and Wisconsin, and this is the other thing too. And you were talking about we're talking about Stacey Abrams as far as Georgia, that Georgia being a toss-up now, which is crazy and awesome and great, and Biden actually going there, which is crazy and awesome and great. 2018 was big, and do you think people slowed down after 2018? Because I don't. Right, and so all the organizing, all of the intensity that went into that, we're seeing it on the ground now, and just getting these results. There's, our little family has been dialed into this for 3.5 years. A lot of the rest of the country has as well. And it looks like they're all walking through broken glass to fucking vote.
Yeah. Our friend Anthony Avila, who was a reluctant participant in organizing for the Democrats, is now a Florida Democratic Party organizer in Pasco County. And they have been so busy that we have not been able to even speak to them for 2 weeks. That's how embedded they are in this race now, and that makes me very, very proud and happy, realizing that this is definitely a moment when we all have to kind of row the same boat. And again, for context, the Fords told us, people that are really high up and sometimes running the Democratic Party in Pasco County couldn't get materials from the Hillary Clinton campaign. Right. Couldn't get signs, couldn't get stickers,
couldn't get coordination. They couldn't get anything from them at all, which is
paid
crazy.
Organizers could not get gas cards in the Tampa Bay area for the Clinton campaign. They were left in the cold.
Yeah.
So this is a much different thing.
I mean, I definitely see the campaign this time, the Democratic campaign this time, really doing everything they can to put out all the stops in every possible way. I mean, that doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean it's flawless, but they are definitely working really hard to try and cover every base that they can, because they know what's at stake. Like, this campaign understands what's at stake. If Hillary Clinton's campaign failed in these areas, I think Biden's going to actually do better.
Yeah, they're doing work.
Yeah, the Wilderness podcast, which we talk about quite a bit on this show, from John Favreau from Pod Save America. Tom Perez, the chair of the Democratic Party, is on that podcast, and they, basically the podcast lays out how we got here and what we can do to come back. Why are we in the wilderness? And Tom Perez, he told us in 2018, we are making big structural changes in the Democratic Party to be more inclusive, to change how we've campaigned. And that appears to be, I mean, it doesn't hurt that they have an opponent who's like a cartoon villain, but they're doing a much better job this cycle than they have in the past. And 2018 was better than 2016. Even though it was an interim cycle, lots of organizations were pouring money into Florida, to pay me and people like me to bang the drum and get workers out. So we saw voter turnout increase in 2018, and now we're seeing an increase exponentially even further. This is a trend. This is not a one-shot deal because of Trump. This is a trend, and we need to remember to stay engaged for 2022, when we can maybe get rid of some senators and a governor in this state.
Yeah, Florida. Come on, guys. Come on.
I'm saying,
guys on. Turn to flip Florida. I mean, I think that article that actually you posted, I think I saw the quote from Obama saying, "We flip Florida, we're done." We flip Florida, we're good.
Yeah.
He's been so funny. Even Florida man wouldn't do this stuff.
Yeah. I'm looking for an Obama clip right now from yesterday.
Yeah, that's good. Mike Silvestri, a good deal of the older 60-plus neighbors in my subdivision of 78 homes who voted for Trump in 2016 have now voted for Biden. That's a super macro view of.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think, I actually was looking at Deborah's comment right above it saying, thank heavens that Trump's getting husbands back to work. I think we actually will get a bump in some women with that, because there's definitely a lot of underhanded insult right there, saying, I'm going to get your husbands back to work. Like, most of those women are actually working, right?
Yeah.
That just takes away something from them. So I think we're going to have women who are on the fence who are going to be, who will swing blue.
Yeah, it's been real. I agree with Maria. I just love seeing Obama go rogue on Donald. It's been nice seeing him swing for the fences. And I think he was just itching to do it. And it looks like he's having a great time. So that's good stuff. Sorry, Donna's working.
Powerful weapon, Barack Obama, against Trump on the one issue Trump wants to avoid. In Trump's own words, that issue is COVID, COVID, COVID. Cases surging, hospitalizations, and deaths up. And President Trump is blaming the media for COVID. Moments ago at a rally in a state with record hospitalizations and deaths tonight, he chanted his new mantra.
No, I wanted Obama. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you have to say about anything, stupid fucking clown. There you go. There's the smart guy.
Obama in Florida today.
What's his closing argument? That people are too focused on COVID. He said this at one of his rallies. COVID, 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 he's complaining. He's jealous of COVID's media coverage.
What?
I love his facial expression.
On COVID from the beginning, cases wouldn't be reaching new record highs across the country this week.
And here's Biden.
He said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because he is who he is. In the spring, the president declared in his voice as commander-in-chief, says commander-in-chief, he was going to wage war on the virus. Instead, he shrugged, he swaggered, and he surrendered.
Now, the president tweeted that.
Anyway, I was hoping for a 3 minute.
Well, Mark Meadows, the whole thing for me was like Mark Meadows said, what, 3 days ago? You know, we're not even going to contain it. Like,
yeah, we're not gonna try. No. We're just gonna do the vaccines. Oh yeah, how's that coming? Oh, any day now. Okay. All right.
Let's put everybody on Trump's steroid, regimen. Yeah, I mean, he's basically rendered the United States the most dangerous country in the world to be in as it concerns COVID-19. Like, there is no other country more dangerous than the U.S. right now, in my opinion.
No, I think that's a literal fact.
Numbers. I mean, I think the numbers actually just prove me right on that. Yeah.
Right, like someone who's Greg, I can't remember if it was you or somebody else, but North Dakota has the highest infection rate in the world.
Yeah, it wasn't me, but yeah.
Right? Like that. What? Like, yeah, they're not contacting, they're not doing anything.
I was super glad to learn yesterday, Dave Myers says, I was super glad to learn yesterday that Trump is putting my husband back to work.
Yeah, that's what Dave Myers needed to know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How's your 401k doing? Yeah. I also, a couple of people brought this up. We need to talk about this thing that Trump said yesterday, which is Biden could be shot 3 weeks into the presidency and you'd be stuck with Kamala Harris. Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's not a dog whistle at all.
No. The boys who are standing by and standing back are waiting for words just like that.
It's sitting right on support right now, the Dow.
Oh yeah. That's bad, right? Because all of us don't.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. No,
Greg and I are going into violence, and you're on Dow. Come on, catch up.
Somebody said it earlier, so now I'm looking at a chart. My apologies. So yeah, this is a price that has been tested once before. We're officially in a downtrend where the highs are lower and the lows are lower from the last couple of weeks, which is not good for people that have anything in the markets. And the next available support isn't for another 1,700 points.
I don't understand any of that.
It's going to drop another. It's going to drop another 10%.
When your car is rolling down a slight hill and you can put a rock behind the tire and stop your car from rolling further down the hill.
We're not there.
Okay, the car is moving too fast for the rock to stop it.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
Further down the hill, you're gonna have to haul ass down the hill, scanning for a bigger rock and jam it in behind your tire. That's where we are right now.
Got it.
I'm stealing that. That is obnoxiously prescient. That's very
when you're
good.
dumb. When you're dumb, you have to find these
No, but it works. You're clearly not dumb enough not to have gotten the point.
Me being dumber does not understand all those things.
And dumber, a French word that you just picked up over there? Hey, can we make
Look at the
Ash
title
in
of the
Paris
movie.
jokes? Have you guys seen Emily in Paris?
It's
No.
a terrible show.
It is. It's super terrible. But I
Never
just want to
watched
say, we watched the whole thing, and it really
I
was
did too.
terrible.
It's really terrible.
And yeah.
It's
So
made
what are
by
you
the
gonna do?
guy. It's made by the same guy who did Sex and the City.
Yeah,
it's
which
like
I
Sex
never
and
watched
the
that.
City light. I mean, for
Okay.
women who are curious, it's Sex and the City light. Is what
Okay.
it is.
I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, is it even remotely bingeable, or do we just like, well, this will eat up hours before the
However,
election?
one thing I did find out that is true is in the show, there's a point where the French boss really wants to get rid of her and hates her and fires her.
Mhm.
And then her two sidekicks come and tell her that it's really hard to actually get fired in France. That's actually true.
Nice.
The whole thing, they cannot fire you for economic reasons. So if they and I actually verified this with people here. I was like, is that really a thing? And they're like, yeah, technically it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 months for the paperwork to go through. They have to genuinely justify that you've done something wrong, and it can't just be for economic reasons, i.e. like downsizing or like restructuring the company or something. They can't just get rid of you for that.
What a socialist hellscape. Also,
I know.
I want to go to there. Anyway, yeah.
I want to. I got another thing I want to share. This actually, I only know about this because Deb Marcotte, Corey's mom, shared it yesterday. This is this is freaking hilarious. This is a tweet from Aaron Rupar. It's a quote from Trump, but under George Conway retweeted it with, "Did he take a hockey puck to the head?"
Hey, Greg, can you make your screen smaller so we can see that? Like just the width smaller. It might increase the size. It might not. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
No, I don't know if I can do that. I'm very
Don't worry about it. I got it.
Okay. Trump, you like the song "Oh Canada," right? Yeah, hockey game. Nice song, "Oh Canada," their national anthem. By the way, they stand for their national anthem. Our people have to our people have to stand for our national anthem. They have to stand, but Canada treated us badly. I mean, that squares with my experience. I went to a curling rink in Canada one time, and the RCMP came with guns drawn,
funny joke,
and made me stand for the national anthem. What? They make you stand.
It's mandatory. It's mandatory that you have.
Yes, in Canada, because they're so
freedom.
Right.
For the record, Greg made that up on Facebook and confused people.
Yep, they thought I was serious
and made it up here, and it may or may not still be confusing people.
Yeah,
that
absolutely did not happen.
We don't take ourselves that seriously. There, we've only really been a country since the 70s.
It's kind of true.
I mean, we're kind of like, are we our own country? Sorta. We have a queen. Is the beer cold? Yes, we're good.
Hey, they actually went and changed some of the words to "Oh Canada" to be more inclusive in the past decade. So, I mean, we could learn a thing or two from our maple syrup besotted brothers to the north.
The Star Spangled Banner was written by a slave owner. As far as I'm concerned, we just need to change the whole song. There are plenty of other songs that we could use for our national anthem. So
man, you know what we could do? You wanna start, telling people they can't kneel in peaceful protest because people are being murdered in their streets to your national anthem. We're just gonna start as white people telling you to fucking scrap that slave owner written bullshit and just watch their heads go.
Yeah,
right.
Especially like when we have control of the Senate, we've just made 2 more states full of brown people.
Yes, I think we should make the Ray Charles version of "America the Beautiful" our national anthem. Just the Ray Charles version. Just the Ray Charles.
Just let's sing Ray Charles. Ray Charles.
Yeah. He's from Florida, by the way. Most people don't know that, but Ray Charles was from North Florida.
But he got a song about Georgia.
Right.
So close. That Georgia-Florida line is starting to get real thin. I honestly heard that on TV about polls because they're kind of the same now as far as polling averages are concerned. It wasn't a great line then, and it's not now. Did I mention I slept for like 2 hours?
I'm not following any of that.
Here's the thing. Let's go back to what we had started with a few minutes ago when we were talking about the dangers of our Proud Boys and other similar groups who might try and assassinate Biden, right? Granted, I would not want that to happen in any stretch. But the idea that Trump is trying to scare people away from Kamala Harris is actually not going to do him any good, because the truth is the Biden campaign and Biden-Harris campaign have done an amazing job at sort of shaping her as the person who would probably likely take over either in the next 4 years or, if God forbid, 60 Minutes directly asked Biden, if something happens to you, And he said, "Why did you choose Kamala Harris?" He immediately gave like 5 reasons. He answered it. He was straight. He was honest. I mean, you ask something of Trump, oh, that's not going to happen. Pence wouldn't have to take over. That's not going to happen. He had COVID. Right. We're thinking maybe Pence would have to if he got sick enough. And part of the reason I think that he like took those steroids and stood up is because he don't want Pence taken over. He doesn't want anyone controlling. So the idea that the Democratic
grifters
Party,
never do. Grifters never want anybody digging through their desk drawers.
But I think the other part of it is that what I'm finding positive about the Biden-Harris campaign is they are shaping this for anything you throw at them. They will work with that. Doesn't mean that they are the flawless pair, but they are the pair that is saying we're going to take on almost any issue you ask us head on. And I do think that journalists have some responsibility in how they're asking questions. Like Kamala's asked, well, are you really the far left? Are you going to breach? She's like, I'm going to tell him my opinion. And if he wants to go with it, great. But if not, like we're still in this together because this country needs changed. So I think what's really interesting is that, yes, Trump's comments about the assassinating Biden are scary. Simultaneously, I don't know that it actually works for the sake of the fact that the Democratic, that Biden and Harris campaign is actually doing a pretty solid job at anything you throw at us.
Yeah. We'll
find a way to let you know the answer if we can.
Like almost everything else, none of that is winning him any new votes. That makes exactly I mean, he's already got the people that think that having an African-American radical socialist woman as president would be a terrible thing. He's already got those people. He's not winning any African-American women. He's not winning any white suburban housewives with that line of thinking either. Right. That, that's not working.
Hey, Greg, how did this exact line of attack work in 2018?
Yeah, not very well.
Was it 50 House seats? 50?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And 4 of them were what we now call the squad, right? It actually helped get women who are more likely more socialistic than I mean. AOC is from the Democratic Socialist Party is who identified her as a potential candidate. So, that's not helping. Don't threaten us with a good time.
Well, the other thing with that too is that AOC actually she had a really good conversation with Jane Fonda not long ago, and what was interesting is that she said that sure there's things that she disagrees with Biden with. When it comes to like maybe the new Green New Deal and aspects of that. But she says that doesn't matter. I'm still going to fight for it because that's what we have to do. And supporting him is our way to be able to do that work in the first place. You're not going to get that work done with the current executive and now, sadly, the current judicial. So you have to kind of push for where you can do the most work. And so no matter how socialist or centrist a person is when it comes to the left, to me, what people are saying is Biden is going to give us the chance to do the most work when it comes to pushing our country in the direction that it needs to go. And that's where that's kind of where we have to start.
Yeah, that's all squared with the Brene Brown podcast with him about power with, power to, like that. It can't have been easy for Joe Biden to let Barack Obama be the president with far less experience in the Senate, with far less experience in elected politics. But Joe Biden never lost sight of the fact that he was the vice president, that his job was to further Obama's agenda, was to work to make the things that Obama was working for happen. And got handed some astonishingly large responsibilities, did a fantastic job of those responsibilities. And so guess what? That's how he's going to president. Is that same what he saw work with the Obama administration is exactly what he's going to do in his own administration. And something Jen Eichenberger set up here. Sadly, the only way we will get our first female president is if something happens to Biden. I don't think so. More than once early, Biden said he considered himself a transitional president, that he might only stand for one term as president.
Yep.
I think it's entirely possible that in 2022. What happens is Kamala Harris is the nominee. They start working to make her the next president.
I actually agree with that. Yeah.
And Biden steps back. And he is a power sharing guy in a most profound way. And I think that shows in every aspect of his life.
Which I actually think shows a much deeper, more kind of soulful part of him in the sense that he understands what's at stake in our country. And he understands that people like women, LGBT, Black Lives Matter, these people desperately need voices, that we need new voices. So for him to sort of understand his sort of transitional position, in my opinion, it's the way that we need sort of divine masculine to step in. It's the way that we need sort of men to show that they are adverse to patriarchy, right? So, whether you take responsibility for the things that have happened and you see a role for yourself. We sadly, the DNC was not going to help the women that were running, which pisses me off that they didn't do that. Simultaneously, I think Joe saw an opportunity here to go, well, maybe I can help. And it's not, to me, it's because Kamala Harris can stand on her own. She can. So can Elizabeth Warren. So can AOC when the time comes. So can all of these other women. They can stand on their own, but he's also seen the country under Trump. And he knows that if he can play a transitional role, this to me then is a statement against patriarchal systems and saying, I know what's at stake. I know what needs to happen. So let's go in and let's start doing this work and start preparing the way.
Yeah, stand back and give women space to address these things. That's a lesson all men could do better at.
What if they got everything done in the first 4 years?
Oh, Corey.
You see how big our country is, right?
No. Because here's the thing: like, if we have the Senate, everyone's ready to kill the filibuster because fuck you to the filibuster, right? I don't believe that signing off on a referendum for DC and Puerto Rico is actually that hard. HR 1 in the Congress in 2018 is basically already a walking, talking Civil Rights Act that will go national with teeth. There's so many things, like the public option is a thing that I think can just pass if you have the House and the Senate and the president, right? So these things become available, and of course there's going to be lawsuits or whatever, and so you have a commission to expand the court and then just fucking do it, because he's at some point I hope, and I don't have any data on this, really. I have a suspicion and an inclination, but I couldn't point to anything specifically. Obama made colossal errors in the beginning.
Of course he did.
By trying to work with Republicans.
Right.
I don't think Biden's going to. And Democrats are now, if there's a silver lining, this might actually be it, right? If there's a silver lining for Trump and we don't lose in a week, very important caveat, right? Democrats are now ready to just fucking throw fists. They're ready to fucking throw hands. And especially in the Senate, they don't give a fuck anymore. And they shouldn't.
Biden,
so we're now ready to not be stopped.
To work with him. I think that's the thing. Is Biden?
Say that again, Ash. Say that again.
I said Biden is going to work with the people who want to work. Who want to work with it. So I don't see Biden like just throwing Republicans off. He's going to say, "Look, I'm going to give you an open door. If you want to come work with us, I'm willing to, sit with you and do that," because that is Biden's character. That's his personality. He is the guy that's going to say, I'm going to open the door for the people who want to work. There are probably quite a few Republicans who have kept silent, who haven't done anything, who've been towing their party line. When they're finally humbled and brought to their knees, they're probably going to go crawling through that door and go, okay, we'll work with you. So we know that that's probably going to happen in terms of that. What we need to do, though, is then make sure to flip enough Senate seats and get more of the House seats as well. Franklin, you're talking about Yang 2024. I'd like to see him go for a Senate seat. Put Yang in the Senate and have him start drafting bills for our economic system.
Yep.
That's what I would actually like to see from Yang. And so I think
there's still a spot that he might actually be in the administration somehow. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets that experience.
Or something like that. Like I think there's a few roles for him that I think would be great. But the point is that we need some of these people who ran for president to actually take up cabinet roles that can start directing things to change. Education is going to be a big one, and I could see Elizabeth Warren out, honestly in an education role potentially, because she's so big on that.
Like taking DeVos's job. I mean, that's the thing. I don't think we can afford her out of the Senate. I just don't. I mean, we're
desperate though on education. We need some serious progressive
She appointed the person that ran the Consumer Protection Bureau. She could appoint the person that does education.
Fine. We just
Fine.
we just need progression in education.
I cannot agree more. Yeah, I do agree.
Like, we get less trumpets if we have better education.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's entirely true.
That's the only long-term fix for this problem.
Yep.
The astonishing number of people that think that someone like Ash just writes a story and it magically gets published in a newspaper or by a television network without a whole bunch of editorial back checking on everything that she's reporting is astonishing to me. Like, I'm sad that people don't understand that there are levels of legal cover to make sure that we're not publishing something that can get us sued out of existence. That they think that just magically these editorial departments get to put whatever they want out there in the world. That's not how it works in a real news organization. That's not how journalism works. In the same way they don't understand science, they don't understand the complexity of these systems that have kept us safe for 231 years. That's
Thank you
nuts to me
for not using the words believe and science in the same sentence. I appreciate that. So to Rob's question, what does Biden need to do to end gerrymandering? Remember when I mentioned HR1? HR1 would require that all states use independent commissions to shape districts. Partisan gerrymandering would be expressly banned. The rules for drawing maps would be made uniform across the entire country. The public would have a chance to review maps and provide feedback, and there would be an expedited process for challenging the maps. So basically, gerrymandering gets taken out behind the barn.
I'm definitely for independent councils, because we have a history, not just as within the voting booths, but we have a history of drawing lots of lines wherever we want to favor them. It's funny, when I think of gerrymandering, I think of how Iraq and Iran and Israel and like all the lines in the Middle East were drawn by the Brits and the French. And we're like, there's a joke in the Middle East that a drunk guy one day just put his finger on the map and just started drawing lines, right? And the thing is,
it was literally Winston Churchill, who was a drunk guy. So
and the whole thing is like they split up people groups, they split up apps, they split up things, and that and if you take that concept and you put it into the gerrymandering argument, you end up with a situation where you end up splitting up families and education and creating messes around voting and getting favor to you create 100 different messes that are economic, education, healthcare, and everything else. So it just creates a huge mess that ultimately leads to what we have.
Ta-da! Here we are.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're making a shadow cabinet over here in the comments. Hillary's head of the Department of Justice or Attorney General would be pretty stellar, frankly.
Wow, that would be a thumb in the eye of every conservative. In America.
on the right, they're saying that they're going to pack the court and put in Hillary and Barack Obama, and I was like, yes,
don't threaten me with a good time.
Exactly. That and like. I would also like Katie Porter and somebody else because they're seriously considering 4. Because like you guys just added 3, right?
Say that again, Ash.
Obama would be interesting. He's been asked about that before too.
I can't imagine.
But here's the thing: I don't know if Michelle would want him to do that.
Right? That's what I think. They're having too much fun.
Yeah, and she really likes her life right now. She really likes being a much more free woman. Like. She supported her husband. She supported his presidency, but like I've read and watched her talk, and she enjoying her life right now.
Yeah, she's done.
Right. I was just thinking about
working with that Netflix money.
I would like to see Susan Rice back as Secretary of State because she's a very hard-nosed, tough individual. And
I would not. And
no,
I'm saying that because from an international perspective, Obama actually made a lot of mistakes internationally.
Okay, so who do you think for Secretary of State? Who do you like?
I would actually like to see McMaster.
Oh man, that's a great idea.
Very, very interested to see McMaster come back as a secretary, be somebody that could fill that position. He's somebody that, as I've studied him and as I've studied what he did in the Middle East, Yeah, he leans a little more on the conservative side, but he has great respect, not only among the troops,
Right.
but he has great respect actually in places like Iraq and Syria among like Kurds and the Iraqis. And it was actually some of his people that were training Iraqis.
Yeah.
When it comes to, he's respected in Israel, like he's respected in a lot of Middle Eastern countries. So, and I think that he's smart. He's really fucking smart. Now, I haven't read his book. I know he's got a new book out where he kind of stays middle of the line a bit. But I think that he's somebody that carries like a sense of respect and diplomacy, and with the military experience,
Right.
that I think could be, in my opinion, worthy of an appointment.
Damn, that's a really great choice. But he would also be really great at rebuilding our NATO, our NATO alliances, because he served in the military as an armored cav officer. He would have been, one of the very first to be put on the line to stop the Russians if they tried anything crazy in the 80s and 90s. How I first learned about H.R. McMaster is in Tom Clancy's nonfiction book Armored Cav, which told the story of the Battle of 73 Easting, and he was the ground commander in the largest armor battle since World War II, and they smoked everything. That they were outnumbered 5-1 and beat the crap out of the Republican Card Armored divisions. So
I just want to address Dave. Dave, I don't think McMaster is a war guy. In fact, I know that he's not.
That's the truth. Yeah.
I actually, one of the biggest things, in fact, the way I got introduced into studying him and studying his work and studying his career a bit was actually Telefar. And I was in Telefar, and I had the privilege of actually spending time with General Jabari, who is one of the major Iraqi commanders in the northern part of Iraq. And we had incredibly extensive discussions on McMaster's work there. McMaster actually wanted to avoid battle at all cost.
He's not a hawk.
He's not. And he was working with the Iraqis to actually create a system of respect between the Sunni and the Shia, the two factions of Islam that were basically at each other's throats. And it was complicated. It wasn't easy. And I'm not saying he fully succeeded. The Americans made a lot of mistakes in Iraq. I absolutely own that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that he's a guy that's looking for a fight. Like he's not a pro-war guy. It's not necessarily it at all. So to me, somebody like that, I think, would be worthy of position as Secretary of State.
All right, I got a local story that I promised Caitlin Erickson I would get to. Look at this. That's the.
This is when the margin of error is 3.6%. And again, this is nationally, blah blah blah. But Fox News. But Fox News with volume.
To President Trump's 41%.
Bill, you look at our polls, and we chose basically Joe Biden with a bigger lead in Michigan than we had before. I'm going to put up the first poll, and that has the list of the. There you have on the screen the battleground states.
Florida obviously critical to his reelection hopes. He can't really win the White House again if he doesn't win Florida. I mean, Georgia's one of those states that's been moving, and the polls show Biden with a very small lead now.
Does show Joe Biden with a commanding lead now.
Anyway, Fox News talking about how they're fucked. So anyway, you were saying about local story?
Yeah, I'm going to put a screen share up here. See if this works. I'm going to read what's on it. Essentially, locally here, we have a high school assistant cheerleading coach who has been put on administrative leave. Anclote High School's varsity cheer team in Holiday, Florida decided to peacefully protest racial injustice by taking a knee during the national anthem at a recent game. A parent complained baselessly, saying that the assistant coach, Madison Anderson, forced the student to take a knee rather than stand in solidarity with their students and staff. Anclote High has put the coach on administrative leave, and now her job and reputation are in jeopardy. And I'm going to share this link because there's a list of people you can email and call in our Pasco County School Board to let them know you think that's a shitty thing to do. This is a decision that the cheerleading squad made among themselves. I get the feeling maybe it wasn't unanimous, but the idea that this student was made to kneel by a coach is in error. And you can take direct action on that locally by contacting the school board and saying that you're okay with protests in the name of social injustice or ending social injustice. So
I don't know if you guys saw the post I put up the other day. There's a teacher, I think it was actually in Wisconsin, and she essentially had kids in her class that asked her what was going on in Kenosha. And they came to her and said, what's going on there? So she thought this would be a really good learning opportunity. So she showed them kind of a video. She created a questionnaire for the kids to actually think for themselves. Like, who do you think Black Lives Matter are? What do you think they want to accomplish? Like, she tried to create a conversation within her class. She didn't formally take a stand, but she tried to show that this is the case. Parents complained and had a fit that, she was promoting this, Black Lives Matter movement, that, they didn't want their kid learning about this stuff in school. And so now there's a controversy over her. Now her school, I think, has stood by her, for the lesson, because the lesson was not officially taking a stand on anything. It was simply trying to draw the kids into a conversation about how they felt about things. But it's now, I think, going to be a huge controversy for a lot of teachers and coaches across the country, in the smaller towns and cities, about how they're going to deal with this, because these are very real issues that are affecting children. And the fact that schools are now having to deal and face this, we already have a problem where the education system did nothing for 6 months to try and sort out a better solution amid COVID for educating our children.
Right.
And now we're having to also look at the social injustice issues that kids are going to bring up themselves in these classrooms. And teachers have to be given the freedom to be able to have a real, genuine conversation with these kids.
Yep. If you're not going to do it at home, like so many other things, teachers are going to have to cover these things.
It takes a village, though. And that's the thing. All parents, 100% of parents, all parents inherently do a bit of light brainwashing with their children. You have values that you hope to impart to your child. You give those to your child. Now, a good parent will let their kid question those things. And if they come home from school or practice or something else, let them question, and you use it as a teachable moment to have a conversation. A parent who's maybe not at their best, who's maybe at their worst, is going to try and shut it down. So essentially, all parents do a little bit of their own indoctrination of children.
Right.
It's how do we include the village to expand a child's mind so that they can come up with their own internal indoctrination?
Right. My kids went to Catholic school. And one of them from second grade through graduation, the younger one from kindergarten through graduation. And I disagree vehemently with a lot of the Catholic Church's view on things. But what I would never have done is go after a teacher for teaching a different view. What I would say to my kids is, well, that's one view of how things should go. There is another view, and let them sort it out. I didn't teach my kids what to think.
Right.
Maybe in some ways I did, but I was just laughing internally about when Grace was about 4 years old. If Led Zeppelin came on the radio, she would say, Led Zeppelin is God's favorite rock band. I totally am responsible for having taught her that because it's true. But my point is that I ended up raising my oldest daughter won the Dorothy Carr Peace and Justice Award at her school for speaking truth to power, because she was the only pro-choice student in her school, and she never backed up from a fight about that. And I think that was an important value. So but I would never have tried to get a teacher shut down for sharing what they were sharing at the school. That's what school is for, to teach my kids another way of looking at the world, aside from this whole idea that American liberal arts colleges are factories for socialism. No, what's happening is your kids are moving out of the bubble you've kept them in and learning about other people's points of view. And if it's modifying their worldview, that's working. That's what it's supposed to happen at college. So,
well, it's happening earlier now. It's happening because it has to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know somebody in particular that pulled their kid out of a school because they didn't want their kids reading a book on bullying. And I asked the person, I said, what about the Black kid? Like, do you think that the Black kid who's getting picked on at that school should also not read that book on bullying and should avoid that? Or what about the fact that he's getting bullied and no one knows? Well, he's just, my kid's just a kid. Well, so are they. And yet their parents have to talk to them about the idea of getting shot in the back by the time they're 12. So, the world is bigger than you. I've gotten to this interesting idea, and you guys can tell me how you feel. But I actually think that people who it's probably going to apply more to maybe people who are on the fence. But I actually think that if you have progressive views, your progressive views bring you back to a sense of conservatism. And what do I mean by that? Well, we all want to protect our family. We all are kind of conservative about how we want to spend our money, make sure we have enough to eat, have a roof over our head, right? These are like these ideas of sort of taking, like, I see conservatism light, we'll call it, as an insulation in the walls of your house, right? You want to stay protected. You want to stay safe. You want to be able to have a community that you take care of, a family you take care of, right? Progressive views actually give you the chance to have those things. So progressive views, in a way, they almost bring you back to it. So when I'm having conversations with, again, probably people who are more on the fence than maybe who are more extreme, but when I'm talking to some more slightly conservative people, the way that I'm thinking about it is, if you think about such and such Black Lives Matter, LGBT lives matter, women's rights and being able to choose. Basically, what you're doing is you're saying that you want to have that same sense of insulated safety that you want.
Right.
And if you're saying no, then you're saying that you don't want them to be safe, thinking that your safety, you will be more safe if they're not. But actually, you're less safe. I mean, it's the whole thing with the kids. These kids who were ripped away from their parents, these kids who are in cages, these kids who are getting sick. What might happen to these kids? Well, if they're orphans the rest of their life, they may end up joining gangs. They may end up either, if they don't get into drugs, maybe they'll get into other types of violence. Then guess what? We're less safe. They might go back to Mexico and have their own little militia that comes across. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that is going to happen, but what I am saying is that you actually, by taking away those children from their parents and then calling my view of wanting them back together progressive, you're not only just dismissing your own values, you're dismissing the idea of keeping your own safety. And so to me, I think it's just a circle, like it's a circular motion.
And how patriarchal is that? Like, you're safe as long as you agree with me and comply with what I want done in our household.
Right.
You're safe until you step over some line, and then you're no longer safe, right? So that's a very patriarchal, way of doing things. You're only safe if you agree with us. And that's the president that Trump is.
Right.
That's the president he is. If you're in California and you haven't raked your forests, you don't get any federal money. If you're in New York and thousands of people are dying of COVID and you disagree with me, you don't get any COVID money, right? That's the president he is, that patriarchal, controlling, boot on your neck president.
Right.
And we need to be done with that forever.
Dave, $110 for your coffee creamer. Gotcha. I think what I'm attempting to just explain is that I'm explaining the idea of just an insulation, right? And that ultimately, when you really get down to the core of a lot of slightly more conservative leaning people, you're going to find that really what they want is a sense of insulation. But the only way to actually gain that insulation is to support a progressive society for which everyone gets that insulation rather than just them. Right.
And then they get more of it as a result, right? Because society is more stable, and I think that's an important for people on the front lines of talking to those people, which is not by especially me. But if you're out doing that, I think about it in those terms is probably really, really smart, right? Because there's been a bunch of studies that have already shown pretty substantially that our brains are actually different. Right, like the conservative mind is constantly more hardwired, probably more pressure on the limbic system.
You're breaking up bad, Corey.
You are. It's like
choppy.
It's like every other syllable.
So while we figure out if Corey can fix that, David James, I like this comment. My non-Catholic kids also go to Catholic school. They learn things in a different perspective than you do at home. They are great critical thinkers. The only thing I have an objection with was when my daughter was watching the Vikings Packers game and she shouted, "Go Pack," teaching my kids to cheer for the Packers. That's where I draw the line.
Am I back?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I was just saying Ash is right about everything. Breaking. Trump is exempting Alaska's entire Tongass National Forest from the roadless rule, making more than 9.3 million acres eligible for logging and other development. It's one of the biggest public land rollbacks of his presidency. One of. Oi.
But Corey, he wants perfect water. He wants perfect water and perfect clean air.
It's the best water ever that's ever existed.
Getting rid of the vapors, the fumes from windmills, and saving all those birds. Come on, man. How can you not believe him? How can you not believe him? He wants the best air and the best water. That's why he killed the Clean Air and Clean Water Act.
We really do need to take care of our Earth. I mean, like, this Green New Deal thing needs to be within the first 100 days. Like, I'm just saying, within the first 100 days, put that on the floor, get that through the floor in the Senate.
Listening to Biden talk about all the details of that, and then talk about like carbon capture, and talking about getting Midwestern farmers by paying them to do like deep root carbon capture crops, in Iowa and like the Midwestern states, like suddenly like he's going in to these states that are required to win, and basically saying like, hey, how they're just paying you to do nothing? What if we paid you to save the earth? Right?
Have you guys seen Kiss the Ground yet? The documentary?
No, I saw it, but I didn't watch it. Or like I saw that it was there.
Harrelson? No. Yeah. Anyway, it's an amazing documentary.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. He narrates it. I had to think about it for a minute because it's been a few weeks. But yeah, he narrates it, and it's brilliant because it talks about getting back to like basic farming. And they actually talk to like people who actually go all over the country to actually teach farmers like how to just get back into allowing your soil to kind of develop,
right?
Which is something that can definitely be added to our sort of climate and earth improvements and progressions. Because honestly, that's actually how we get better meat, better vegetables, better ground, and ultimately take care of people's bodies, which then means less COVID.
Right.
Hey, do you guys want to stay on for a little bit, or can we close? Because I gotta hit the little.
I'm ready to rock. To wrap up here. Yeah, right, cool. I got a lot going on today, so we may or may not do another spontaneous show tomorrow because it's that kind of a week. I'm just not like there's anything big happening. So
I think just count on it. I'm gonna do it either way.
But we're definitely back on Friday at 10 a.m. And Jessica Stepien, who is running for county commission here in Pasco County, is going to be our guest for about a half an hour. Jess is pretty awesome, and I'm anxious to get her on the show so she can tell you why you should vote for her. And I know most of you did, but there's still a lot of votes outstanding in Pasco County, and we want them all to go to Jess, not Catherine Starkey. So,
and if you haven't voted yet, go vote.
Yes. It's too late to mail in your ballot. Do not mail in your ballot at this point. Take it to the supervisor of elections office, or go to an early voting location and trade it in and fill out one there. So please do that.
All right, people.